everybody, Princess AG here. In this video, we're going to take a look at a guy named Nathaniel Woods who is being executed today, and we are trying to reprieve that and get a stay of execution. He's being wrongfully accused of shooting 3 officers. Now, they have the guy in prison on death row for this heinous act of shooting 3 officers. He has confessed and admitted that Nathaniel had nothing to do with it. He didn't even know that he was going to shoot those 3 officers. Now, Nathaniel did not murder these 3 officers. He was in handcuffs, but they are trying to charge him with 3 murders of 3 Alabama police officers. So right now, I feel that he is being wrongfully accused of shooting and killing these 3 officers. So let's help him get a stay and a reprieve. I'm going to put the link down below where you can sign a petition as well. So take a look at this video.
It's a fact no one disputes. Alabama is about to execute 44-year-old Nathaniel Woods for the murders of 3 police officers he did not kill. June 17, 2004. 3 Birmingham police officers are gunned down attempting to serve a misdemeanor warrant on Woods at a home on the city's west side. Woods had surrendered to police when another man in the house, Carrie Spencer, opened fire with an assault rifle, killing officers Charles Bennett, Carlos Owen, and Harley Chisholm.
Never in my life have I ever imagined going to 3 funerals in 2 days and feeling the pain and hurt that we've all experienced.
The shocking murders left a city grieving. Spencer confessed to the shootings and said soon after his arrest that he had acted alone. He was convicted of the murders and sits on Alabama's death row. But for prosecutors, one conviction wasn't enough. They charged Woods with 3 counts of capital murder, accusing him of conspiring or being complicit in the killing of the officers.
In order for a person to be convicted on complicity, they have to be involved in a plan or a scheme to kill.
Prosecutors alleged a calculating Woods intentionally lured the officers into the home where Spencer was waiting.
Absolutely not. He was terrified when they came into the house.
Woods was found guilty, and even though he hadn't fired a single shot, he was sentenced to death.
He thought it was the craziest thing in the world. He was like, how? How? Because, he didn't do anything wrong.
How much do you think race played a role in this case?
I think it did play a role. I think that if you look at the victims, it's 3 white officers. And if you look at the people who are sitting on death row, it's 2 black men.
Woods' current defense team says his conviction was just one of many legal wrongs, including years of bungled appeals by other attorneys. Now down to his final hours, Woods' family believes their only hope is for the public to convince Alabama's governor that killing a man who killed no one is wrong.
I love my brother. People need to know about this.
We wanted to know what the families of the murdered police officers thought of Woods. We reached 2 of them who said they either couldn't or wouldn't talk to us. But in a local radio interview last year, the granddaughter of Officer Carlos Owen reflected on his loss and the hole it's left in all their lives.
I remember how special he used to make each of his grandkids feel. That was something that he was so good at, making others feel loved and special.
What would you say to the families of the officers who died?
We are deeply, deeply sorry for what happened that day. But the murderer of their family members is sitting on death row. He has confessed. He is being punished. They don't need an innocent man's blood as well.
Martin, you actually spoke with Carrie Spencer tonight. What's he saying?
He was calling from death row, the same death row, of course, in which Nathaniel Woods is spending his last few hours. It's hard to imagine a man who has confessed to killing 3 police officers would have a guilty conscience, but it appears he does. But in this case, it's guilt over what he believes is wrong, that Nathaniel Woods in no way had anything to do with the deaths of those officers. Here's some of our conversation. You are saying that you are totally responsible for the murders of those police officers?
Yes, I am. I'm
And
the
that
only one that shot out of that thing.
And Nathaniel Woods is completely innocent, you say?
Absolutely. He didn't know I was going to shoot anybody. I mean, I put this on my life, on my children's life. I mean, like, I swear to God, I didn't know I was going to do this. So how would Nate know? I mean, this was some spur of the moment decision. You know what I mean? We had no time to think about what the was going to happen that day.
This was not a plan. You didn't conspire together.
No, man. That's just something they put out there. You see, it was no warrant or nothing. They just made up a story for a jury to believe to convict both of us.
And again, that's Carrie Spencer saying that Woods is totally innocent, that this was a spur of the moment, and that Spencer takes full responsibility for what happened. Alabama, he says, is executing the wrong person.
Activists are calling for an 11th-hour intervention by Alabama Governor Ivey to halt the execution of a black prisoner set for this evening. Nathaniel Woods was sentenced to be executed by lethal injection, convicted of multiple counts of capital murder and attempted murder for the 2004 killings of 3 police officers, in which authorities say a co-defendant was the gunman. Prosecutors argued that Woods conspired in the killings, which occurred when officers tried to serve a misdemeanor domestic assault warrant on him. Woods' family members and supporters have argued that the co-defendant said he was the sole person responsible for the shootings, and also claimed there are outstanding questions about the fairness of Woods' trial, arguing that Woods had ineffective counsel and the trial itself had multiple errors. The non-profit Death Penalty Organization Center says, quote, Woods' racially charged convictions and death sentences are tainted by claims of police corruption, intimidation of witnesses, and inadequate representation. In Alabama, being an accomplice to a murder can also result in a death sentence, and remains the only state in the country where a jury does not have to unanimously impose the death penalty. A federal judge Monday dismissed Woods' request for a stay of execution. The U.S. Supreme Court turned down Woods' appeal last year. Morning Joe has reached out to the Alabama governor's office for a comment and has yet to hear back. Our next guest has called upon Alabama's governor to halt set for today. Joining us now, civil rights leader Martin Luther King III.
Martin, thank you so much for being with us. We greatly appreciate it. And this is a case where family members, lawyers, supporters, outside groups, civil rights leaders all say that this man was not involved in the murder, and there's evidence to suggest that. And yet, tonight at 6 p.m., if things don't change, he's going to get executed. Tell us why you got involved in this case.
So, thank you for the opportunity. I got involved when I found out about the gross, I don't want to say negligence, but how the system, the legal system, seems not to be working. Certainly, Mr. Woods had an incompetent lawyer on capital cases, not incompetent generally, but perhaps on capital cases. If there's any inkling of doubt that someone innocent may be killed, then it seems to me that that should not happen. And because, as you've stated, the gentleman who did the actual murders came forward and has stated that there was no involvement, that they were not operating together, it would just seem that the governor would provide a stay. That seems to fall on deaf ears, and what it feels like to many in the African American community is, once again, this is like a lynching. An innocent person is slated to die this evening, and that should be unacceptable. The legal system has got to do better, or justice certainly has to be served in some responsible fashion, it seems to me.
Kareen is with us and has a question. Kareen.
Hi there, Martin. Good to see you again. My question to you is, how do people get involved in this fight? And not just in this case, but in the broader, fight to stop, to end the death penalty?
So I think that Amnesty International is one of the great organizations that I've been involved in. And everyone is not against the death penalty, obviously. But I believe we have to create a consciousness in this country. I'm against it. You know, I'm a victim of violence. My father was gunned down by an assassin. My grandmother was gunned down. My father by a white man, my grandmother by a black man. And I have always been against the death penalty. I think it's an archaic form of punishment. I think that we are better than the way that we operate. And I think it's mostly consciousness. Ultimately, when you think about developing nations, we are one of those nations that continues to believe, okay, if you do something, we're going to come and get you. And this is what feels good momentarily. But I just have to believe we have to continue to mobilize people in the nation and world so that ultimately elected officials will come around to this position. It obviously is going to take some time, but we should never give up.
Well, the case is, again, Nathaniel Woods, 44. He is set to die at 6 p.m. tonight. The man who actually committed the murder has said he had nothing to do with the crime, as have civil rights leaders, lawyers, outside groups, and yet he is still set to die at 6 p.m. unless the governor of Alabama does something about it before then. Martin Luther King III, thank you so much for being with us. We greatly appreciate you bringing this to our audience's attention.
So thank you very much for watching the video. As you can see, we have Dr. Martin Luther King III and also T.I. and others are trying to get a stay of execution for Nathaniel Woods. So please click the link down below and sign the petition and send a letter to get a stay of execution before 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, they are going to execute this innocent man. Let's see if we can try to help this innocent man not get executed. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Don't forget to tell your loved ones you love them, because tomorrow is not promised to anyone. And always stay thankful and grateful. So thanks for watching. Ciao for now.